Hello listeners, a warm welcome to the Complete Life Show. I'm your host Lisa Thomaides and I'm so glad that you've tuned in. This show is all about finding peace and well-being through the mind-body-spirit continuum. My hope is we can all take away nuggets of information from all the wonderful people I interview to help us lead our very best lives. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Krista Hansen. Krista's original area of education was in Bachelor of Arts from UBC in Psychology and Fine Arts. She's been a weight loss and wellness coach, and she's a third age women menopause transition certification from Burrell Education. Her speciality today is that she helps women transition through menopause. She helps them transition with more ease, comfort and joy. And after struggling with her own journey into menopause, she finally unraveled her chronic pain, anxiety and insomnia, allowing her to feel whole again. She believes no woman should suffer silently, and there is a life of joy and grace waiting for every woman after menopause. After studying more about the menopause transition through the Burrell Education system, she now coaches women through this significant natural phase of life. Krista lives in beautiful Tsawwassen, BC, Canada. I'm really delighted to have Krista on the show today because this is a topic that comes up over and over again in my small healing arts centre, and it's not something I personally am not very aware of, and I support people going through this too. When Krista came to stay with me, actually, in my B&B, we immediately connected and she shared what she does. I said to her, you have to come and speak on my show. You've got to share what you're doing and let's have a chat about this. So Krista, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa.
It's really lovely to have you in, Krista. Now, I know I'd like you to share with me a little bit about your personal journey, because that was very touching to me, and it makes you very real, and it puts you in a really good position to share all the information that you're going to share today. So go ahead and tell us your own story of how you got into all of this.
Sure. This is actually the reason why I'm doing this, because my own journey into menopause was nothing even remotely close to what I was imagining or picturing. So I'll try and say this not in a too long a form, but basically, let's say a few years ago, I pretty much woke up one day and my back froze halfway to the bathroom. And I thought not too much of it, like maybe I just need to rest for a few days in bed. But in fact, it was the beginning of a summer of extreme body pain, sleepless nights, and by September, a whole lot of anxiety. So you have to think, like, I just really didn't understand why this was happening to me. And I immediately decided to reach out to everything that I knew could help from my past experiences. So things like a chiropractor, physiotherapist, even Bowen therapy, anything to help relieve this pain that was extreme in my neck and my shoulders. This pain was moving throughout my body randomly. Some days it was in my hip, other days my lower back. And this was not my typical way of living. I'm usually healthy, wake up every day, can move supplely. And I thought, wow, something's going on here. And it actually, to be honest, scared me quite a bit because it went on week after week after week. So,
and you did mention you're already leading a very healthy life. You were taking good supplementation.
Yes, I take supplements. I eat very well, eat an anti-inflammatory diet, get help when I need it. So, I turned to the traditional kind of ways I did and wasn't getting typical help. So I went to my doctor pretty quickly. And she gave me some pain medication prescriptions, both ointment and in pill form, and I wasn't too thrilled with that idea, but I was in extreme pain, so I just had to take something. So I started with that, but it didn't help. Nothing was helping. So I went back to her about 2 months later and said, you know what, I thought about something that occurred to me is my period is now actually we're talking 8 weeks overdue. A lot of this pain began about 2 weeks after it was late. And I'm wondering, is this possibly menopause? And her reaction sort of surprised me. She giggled and said, "You know what, Krista, I kind of hear this all the time.
How old were you at the time?
Yeah, at the time I was 49 and a half. And to be honest, that was a bit younger than I expected.
But it's fairly typical to start going into
menopause.
menopause.
It is. Since learning about it, 45, even late 30s it can happen. That's an early menopause. But my mom, for instance, was, I think, 53 or 54. So I had in my mind that I would be a little bit older. It caught me off guard, let's put it that way. So
your period was 8 weeks overdue.
Yeah.
And the symptoms started to come on pretty much 8 weeks later.
Oh, actually, within 2 to 3 weeks was the body pain. So, and I didn't have any of the traditional symptoms of hot flashes or anything for about 4 months. So none of them were kind of my typical clues of menopause. And like I said, she laughed and said, "Come back in the spring and we'll check your FSH levels. You're in perimenopause right now." And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I actually left in tears because I needed help. I was actually quite desperate because my anxiety level was really high. I thought I was losing my sanity. So at that point I said, I'm going to have to turn to somebody else, like a naturopath or something alternative, or look into this myself, basically. That's almost what I started to do, which was challenging when you're not feeling well. So started reading everything. Yeah, and so I did find some help in some trusted medical sources. I ended up getting my FSH level checked, and sure enough, it was what we call in the postmenopausal range, already way high up there. And so I was literally in probably a postmenopause stage already in just 4 months of a missed period, or of no periods.
So something happened in your body where everything happened very quickly.
Yeah.
And you didn't wait the 12 months of being in menopause. Your body went from fully being in a regular cycle to full on menopause.
That's pretty much it,
according to your blood level.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So at that point, I knew I needed a different way, something better. So like I said, I had to do a lot of my own research, find my own methods. And I found some help in some other alternative things like acupuncture. Actually, that was really, really helpful. I definitely nourished my brain and my mind in a way that was extremely important. So fast forward a little bit, when I kind of came out of it, it was about I'd say about a 6-month journey, which all in all is not too bad.
No,
like I was starting to
you
feel
were speeding
really,
through this.
Yeah, I was feeling really good after about 6 months. And then I thought about what I was doing at the pharmacy, which was weight loss and wellness coaching. And at that point, it's like, I think there's something more here for me and a mission here, because there's not enough help out here. So that's when I found this great program in the UK, actually. Burrell Education is in the UK, and it was exactly what I was looking for. So, yeah.
So then you started the education, you started implementing what you learned into your own lifestyle at that
Definitely.
point. And it significantly improved your whole well-being.
It did. I wish I knew actually more at the beginning stages, but there was still some improvement that I could do from that point on. But since then, I have created my own business out of this. And I don't know if you're going somewhere with that, but
I will be.
Yeah,
I'm going to be going there for
I'll
sure.
Slow down here.
We're going to talk about that. What I just want to talk to our listeners about is I want everyone to be aware there is perimenopause, which is before a lady finishes her periods. That period can go on for up to 10 years before a period is finished. Then a woman's periods have to be gone for 12 consecutive months. Then she's considered to be in menopause. So it's a very confusing wording, actually, because often, and my personal experience, having been in perimenopause for I think at least 8 years now, is the symptoms of perimenopause are extremely challenging, and it can vary from person to person and be so subtle that people don't even relate to the fact that that's what's going on. But things like memory loss, mind fog, sleeplessness, higher cortisol levels, certain levels of anxiety, teariness, depression, we can blame all these things on lifestyle choices, and I'm sure that the stress of many of our lifestyle choices can add to all of this. But actual physiological signs from the imbalance of hormones that are changing in the body can give us one or all of these symptoms all at once, and there's tons more that I could refer to, all sorts of issues with running to the loo in time, and pains and aches, and all kinds of things like that. So it's such a big deal, and it runs for such a long time that, and it's something that doctors tend to dismiss. And when you do go to get your blood work done to test your hormones, they fluctuate so much that it's not terribly accurate unless you test it regularly for a period of time to actually know where you are in your cycle. So just wanted to just say that, because it's very important for ladies out there to really understand they're not going crazy, and if anyone tells you that, then it's very unfair and very unkind. You really are going through massive physiological changes, and there's light at the end of the tunnel, but not to be hard on yourself and to seek help. So I'm just curious now to talk to you a little bit more about what you learned at the Burrell Education Centre, and how you approach. So if somebody comes to you, I'm coming to you now, I'm having some struggles, what's your approach in how you help people?
I'm just going to quickly add to what you just said too, just quickly about that period of time that you're talking about, the perimenopause, is that decade generally before menopause hits, and it can be, like you said, extremes up and downs of moods, teary-eyed, foggy-headed, all of that. And some women actually hit menopause, like they crash into it a little bit, sometimes because of a very traumatic event may happen in their life, such as a death of a loved one, perhaps a divorce. So it generally,
Trauma.
the changes, the changes are happening for about 10 years before you hit menopause. But some women get triggered by something like a trauma, and then they just almost crash into it a lot
Perfect
faster.
storm. I think a lot of things are, and also diet and lifestyle plays a big part.
Yes.
If you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you're drinking loads of coffee, you're
Yeah.
taking lots of stimulants, or if you're doing any drugs, all of that's going to affect
It
your
all
menopause.
affects, And menopause itself, like you said, the Western definition of menopause is that you've now had 12 months of no period. However, the actual word itself it's fascinating. It just really means the pause of the last menses. So it means it's literally that moment in time of your last bleeding. So that is what menopause is. And then from that point on, you really truly are in postmenopause. But the interesting thing is no woman knows when that last moment is going to be.
No, and
until time elapses.
Go on and off.
Yeah, and
like
they sputter and
back.
they go on and off and on and off. So that in itself is really important to understand going into menopause. There's this quote that I read in a book by Dr. Jen Gunter I love it, and she basically says the most predictable thing about menopause is its unpredictability. It's just completely unpredictable. You don't always know what's coming your way. So from learning through what I basically really studied that transition period, which really does mean perimenopause, as well as that beginning, like what I was describing, where you're like, well, where is my period? What's going on? And why do I feel weird?
Yeah, and
that
today,
point on.
I just want to ask you how would you advise people before they start going into menopause? What you've learned about getting into the best possible state before it starts hitting, and then if they do come to you with their problems, where do they go from there? So we've got all the listeners covered today with some really healthy advice.
Perfect. I'd love to cover that. So for the woman in perimenopause, which really could be in your 30s, but if you're in your 40s, you're likely there already. Those women, I have one big top secret for all of you. It's not a secret to everyone, but your stress levels in the decade before menopause has a lot to do with how you will go through that journey. So if there is one thing I could say to every woman out there, in the decade before, watch your stress levels, figure out how you're managing your stress levels. It's not an easy task. There's many ways of doing this. It could be spiritual connections. It could be cognitive things. It could be, it might be that you need meditation in your life, or yoga therapy, or massage, or anything to help you reduce stress levels. The thing that's very tricky is that many women in their 40s are often working, might be mums, and they're really busy with kids.
Right.
And so it's not an easy time to handle stress. In fact, I think it might be one of the worst decades for women to handle stress that are busy at careers and mothers. So it's a challenging time, but you want to go into menopause with your adrenals full. Like, you want them working fully well. You do not want them drained by the time you get to menopause, because what's going to happen is your ovaries are going to stop producing that very robust estrogen called estradiol. And when it stops producing that, 3 areas of your body take over producing estrogen, and the biggest is your adrenals. And so if the adrenals are tanked, they're not going to be able to give you much that way. The second is your brain, and the third is you actually have estrogen in your adipose tissue, which is your fat tissue. So those are the 3 areas. So when you stop producing estradiol, you want those other areas to be helping you out. And so some women, many women, by the time they get to menopause are completely drained in their adrenals. So that's my number 1 tip for women going in. Of course, you can always improve probably what you're eating. You want to be sleeping really well, and you could be watching your supplements, and you could probably go to a naturopath and talk to them a bit about what might be best for you. But I would start with stress. Now, once you're in menopause, stress is another factor again, because sometimes it's going to hit you like it did me. And if you don't know what's going on, that in itself is anxiety producing beyond what I ever could have imagined, because you're in that mode of uncertainty. You don't know what's going to happen. In fact, I thought maybe I was getting fibromyalgia or something where pain just maybe randomly moves around your body. I thought I was chronically getting ill. And I think that if you are prepared and know some of the common symptoms, like body pain, anxiety, insomnia, the hot flashes most people all know about, then you have that wherewithal ahead of time that these are things to look for, and that just kind of calms you down a little bit as well. So once again, you have to work on the stress levels, whatever way that is for you. And sometimes it means you really have to self-reflect and think about what is going to help you come down to a rest and digest phase or a place in your body. You want your parasympathetic nervous system to kick in. You don't want to be in your sympathetic nervous system. There's many ways you can do that. For instance, Bowen therapy. I could go on forever. Acupuncture would do it. Meditation, forest bathing.
Yeah. I'm a Bowen therapist, and
Right,
from what I've learned about Bowen therapy is it ignites the parasympathetic nervous system to kick in, so that your body goes into a really calm state. And it's actually from that calm state that our own body heals itself. Mm-hmm. So anything we can do to ignite the parasympathetic nervous system is a good thing, and acupuncture is number 1. Simply walking in nature, having pets in your arms, stroking them, taking the time to be mindful, being calm, generally calming yourself, becoming more self-aware of your own patterns, taking full responsibility for your own patterns, your own life, and finding the calm moments. All calm our cortisol levels and calm our nervous systems. Mm-hmm. So that's something we can all do immediately. And then tell us a little bit more about the process that happens through the borough education system. Is it a diet related? Is it exercise, or what sort of...
they cover every part of your body, which is awesome. You know, I studied how the brain cognitive decline is changing, bone health, cardiovascular disease. I don't want to scare people, but basically menopause is begins the biological processes of bone loss, cardiovascular disease, and cognitive decline. But what we want is to slow that down. So I learned lots of ways that we can slow that down, because what we really want is a longer health span in life. We want to be healthy for longer. We don't want to be sick by the time we're 60 or 55. We want to have a longer health span. So we want to slow these biological processes that actually get ignited by the point that we transition into menopause. So there's many ways I studied, from almost like head to toe, what we can do to cover a lot of these processes that are changing in your body. And a lot of it is simply self-care. It's nourishing yourself and the mind and body. I myself, I don't know if you're going there, but I will be working one-on-one in a private mentorship with people to find something that works just for where you're at, and move you through the steps that I have discovered myself and through my work with others work best for women at this stage in their lives.
So will you be putting people on a program in a weekly coaching session or a monthly coaching session? Do you get them to have blood work? Do you then decide how to move forward? Like how do you help?
I begin the conversation by having a couple phone calls with any potential clients. Anybody that's interested in speaking with me, I'd love to hop on a call with you, see where you're at. I basically see if what I have to offer would help you, because that's the most important thing. Would what I offer help this person? And I have a pretty good idea how to figure that out now. And if so, then I work one-on-one with that person weekly. Yes.
Right,
yeah.
So then you do a weekly coaching session.
Mm-hmm.
Do you recommend supplementation and all of that or not?
I do have my top sort of 5 or 6 favorite supplements for this stage of life. And again, because I'm not a medical doctor, I do like them to be just, verified and checked with your doctor. But definitely
your recommendations.
Yeah, and blood work
too.
Yeah,
and
blood work. Getting your FSH level done at the very beginning, and then having hormone levels checked
regularly.
Yeah, the urine Dutch test is I think the gold standard. You can do blood tests, but then it's just like you said earlier. It's a snippet in time. It's just like what was going on at that moment they took the blood at that time. Saliva testing is also an amazing way to check as well, because it's over a 24-hour time period at 4 different spots. And so both the Dutch test and the saliva ones are fantastic ways of checking over a 24-hour period. Everything, yeah.
And do you do, and then of course you've got a history as a wellness coach. So do you do emotional support in that? How does that work? And also, what do you charge? Like, have you got your charges?
Yeah, that's I'll have to speak with each person individually about that. But
depending on the length of the program.
Yeah, a little bit what we're doing together and the length exactly. But back to, was it the supplements you were asking?
Yeah.
Or the, yeah, I don't offer, I don't have them to offer you, but I like I said, I have some amazing ones in my back pocket to suggest for that. You were also asking something else. I think it's mind and emotional health. That's right.
Support.
That is one of my topics we cover. Yeah, is the cognitive and mind changes. Alzheimer's is a lot on women's mind as they're aging. It's a big deal. It's something we have to start now, and the earlier you start looking after your brain health, the better. So obviously fish oils and omega-3, 6, 9s, we need to watch all of those and eat our fish and salmon and get everything, avocados, all those hemp seeds, everything you can to get those in as well.
Well, there's a little nugget for the people, for everyone out there. We always like to give little nuggets of support for anyone who's just listening. And I'm certainly a proponent of fish oils and cod liver oil. It's got A and D in it to help and support your immune system, but also brain function and joints and everything, really. But life doesn't get fixed with a pill. We have to take full responsibility for our lives. And if there's one thing that I've noticed about menopause for myself, or at least perimenopause, is that I need to take full responsibility for my own joy and my own peace. And anything that's not working in my life, my God, you can pretend all you like, but when it comes to perimenopause and menopause, there's no pretending anymore, because you physiologically it will show through your body. And if you've been denying yourself self-love and self-care, there is nothing like menopause to bring it right up to your nose. Or if you're in an abusive marriage or a difficult situation, in any way in your personal life, menopause will exasperate that. And do not allow anyone to tell you you're crazy. This is the standard line that partners can give women. What you're saying is crazy, you're behaving like a crazy woman, you're crazy. Ladies out there, I urge you just to not block that out of your mind, because you are so valuable, and loving and taking care of yourself so that you can have a healthy mind, body, spirit is not crazy. It's very, very important, and nobody's crazy. There is no such thing as crazy. So it's not something you should buy into.
Just to add to that, Lisa, one of my missions also is along those lines. Is I really, really want women to understand that every woman's menopause journey is different, and we really have to be careful about judging each other with this, because sometimes we look at our neighbors or our friends or our sisters and we're like, wow, how did they just sail through that? Or maybe the opposite, you look at them and like, oh my gosh, why was it so challenging for her when it wasn't for me? What's going on with her? And everybody is in a unique situation. The way I kind of studied this and look at it is that every woman comes to menopause with their own bio, psycho, social, cultural, and spiritual background. And that is why your journey is unique to you, because you came with different DNA. You came with in a different psychological state. You might be from a different culture, and your spiritual connections to a higher source or your purpose in life might be different or stronger for some women. And this I think is part of the reason too that we all experience this journey differently. And so I really want us to almost look at ourselves as a sisterhood, and that we're here to help each other and talk about this.
Absolutely. Embrace each other. It takes me back to breastfeeding and having a baby. Some people, you hear of these women who they say, I've got a bit of a bellyache, and an hour later they're holding a baby. And most women take 12 to 36 hours to give birth, and it's hellish. But there are those ladies that just literally pop them out. And then the breastfeeding thing comes along. And some women breastfeed for 2, 3, 4 years. Other women can't breastfeed past a week. And there's this feeling of failure, like, what's wrong with me? But everybody is different, and every set of nipples are different, and their circumstances are different. So this really isn't about judging each other. This is about offering genuine, honest support and help to people in any area of their life when they need it, and to take it or leave it, share it, don't share it, but let's just support each other as best we can. That's what this whole radio show is about, actually.
I love it. Yeah.
So I couldn't be happier, Krista, that you've come in and shared this beautiful information and your beautiful self with us today. I'd like you to just share how people can contact you, because I'm sure there's going to be listeners who will listen to this on the podcast, because you can work with people all over the world. You don't need to be in the same room, which makes your business extremely good for sharing. Anywhere in the world, you can contact Krista, and she can do online support for you. So tell us your contact information.
Sure. So in approximately, I think, 3 to 4 weeks, my official website will be launched, and I'm super excited to share that with the world. This is actually the first time I'll be saying out loud even my business name. So my domain name and my business name is Blooming Rose Wellness. So the actual domain name where you can find me is bloomingrose.com. So just how it sounds, BLOOMINGROSE.com. Oh, sorry, I missed the wellness part. bloomingrosewellness.com. Sorry, it's just the first few times I've even saying it. So I'm super excited about that. A couple other ways you can find me is through my cell phone. I'm totally fine for anyone to call me, and we can hop on a call. And that number is 778-867-2347. And the area code is the 778. So 778-867-2347. Trying to think of what.
Are you on Instagram? Are you open on Instagram?
Yes, I am.
Then share your Insta page.
It's my personal page right now, and it's Krista Hansen 99. So
and that's Krista with a K, Krista Hansen
99.
99.
Yeah.
So that's your Instagram handle.
Yes.
So do follow her. Now, anyone again who's interested to contact me or ask me more information about this show or any of the other shows, please do give me an email at figsandhoney@me.com. My name is Lisa, and I'm the host of this show, The Complete Life Show. Please do get in touch if you'd like to come on this show and share your expertise. I would love to have a chat with you and share you with the world. Thank you, listeners. Tune in next time for some more nuggets that you can take away to live your best life.
Thank you, Lisa.